Good afternoon. My name is Bert Strange. It's my pleasure today to welcome you all to the June 14th, 2022 meeting of the Rotary Club of Greenville. I'm one of the cast of thousands of past presidents here, served actually 10 years ago. Whether you are here with us today or via the Zoom, we're glad that you joined us. I should note that there are two celebrations today, June 14th. It is First Flag Day in recognition of the adoption of our national emblem in 1777. I'll say a bit more about that in a few minutes. As a retired officer with 24 years of active duty service, I also feel obliged to note that this is the 247th birthday of the United States Army, created by an act of Congress 2 years ahead of the flag. In 1775. So happy birthday to all you Army folks. I think we look pretty good for our age. All that said, please join me in prayer. Holy One, as we come together today to celebrate our shared fellowship and service as members of Rotary, we ask your blessing upon our gathering. In this peaceful place, we are mindful that all of your children do not enjoy peace today. As we eat from the abundance of your good earth, we are mindful that all of your children do not have sufficient food or clean water today. While we complain about the cost of medical care and how hard it is to get an appointment with a doctor, we are mindful that millions of your children suffer from the lack of any adequate health care today. We give you thanks for the opportunities that we have as Rotarians to make a significant positive difference for all your children across the world. And in the midst of this political season, we pray that all those who seek elected office will not be concerned with their personal goals for prestige and power, but will instead stay focused on the goals that we espouse in Rotary: truth, fairness, goodwill, friendship, and mutual benefit for all your children, today and every day. Amen. Now, before we say the pledge, I'm going to give you a few fun facts about the national flag. Whether or not Betsy Ross actually created the first flag, now, to be fair, Bill Raines is the only person here who would know that from personal experience. But we do know that the initial flag had a circle of 13 stars in a blue field, along with 13 stripes of red and white, 7 and 6 respectively. And while the number of stripes has remained unchanged through the years, there have been 27 changes to the flag with the field of stars, reflecting the increase, of course, in the number of states over these last 2 centuries. The last change came in 1958. Making the current version the longest tenured of our history. I should note also that the Pledge of Allegiance was originally written by what was called a socialist minister in 1892, Francis Bellamy. It's been amended twice. In 1923, the original My Flag was changed to the flag of the United States of America. And in 1954, in response to the communist threat, whatever that was, the phrase "under God" was added after one nation without a comma. So, in spite of what you've been doing since kindergarten, join me in reciting the pledge with proper punctuation. Will you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. And apparently, I have become Marty Smith today as well, and I'm going to recognize our guests and visiting Rotarians. We have a number of guests today. Amy Wood, who I've caught with her mouth full. You can just wave, Amy, so everybody knows, is a guest of Lisa Minnick. Noah Taylor is a guest of Ryan Thackeray. The Bonaparte family to include Jamise, who will be introduced in a bit, are guests of the club. Lynn Chavez is a guest of the club. Kate Barton Locker is a guest of Amy Randall, and Kevin Manning is a guest of Cynthia Fowler. And to my knowledge, there are no visiting Rotarians, at least none who claim to be. So we're glad that you're all here. Thanks for joining us for Rotary today.
So I'm honored to introduce two new club members to us today. Jeremy Hart. So Jeremy, please come on up. And then the other member is Marty Holcomb, who I believe is online via Zoom with us. So Jeremy is actually not new to Rotary itself. He was involved with the Rotary Club in Georgia, Statesboro. Okay, down in Statesboro, Georgia, very active. So hear those words, very active. He is now the branch manager here for EMC Engineering Services. Another interesting note would be, and this is your engaged, so your fiance is a culinary chef. So tap him for some good meals. Came to Greenville in November 2021, sponsored by Beth Paget, who we all know very well. So nice that she has brought you to us. And obviously passionate about community, passionate about making a difference. And we're really glad that you're here with us. So thank you. The other new member, as I mentioned, was Marty Holcomb. You can just wait and sit down with me. You're running off on me. Marty works in banking. He is married and has two daughters. His sponsor is Andy Mormon. And then he says he's looking forward to being part of a member of our club, networking with us, and getting more involved in the community. So again, to Marty and Jeremy, welcome. All right, we're off there.
I'm honored to introduce our 2020 Service Above Self Scholar, Jamise Bonaparte. On her application essay, she said, in order for society to thrive as a whole, we have to possess the willingness to uplift, encourage, and lend a helping hand. She's had a very exciting year, and I'm sure you will enjoy hearing from her today. Jamise, give her a hug.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to give you a little update on my life from the past year. So the fall semester of 2021, I was able to study abroad at the University of Sussex in Brighton, England. I had a phenomenal time being in a new country for 3 months. I met some amazing people. I got to travel and explore as I love to do. And I got to soak in a new culture and way of life as I continue my educational journey. Although I was very sad once my time came to an end, I knew it was time for me to return back to Charleston where new opportunities awaited. So being in England gave me the momentum that I sought out for many years. I've always been hesitant to step outside of my comfort zone and kind of let imposter syndrome dictate my abilities. But now I'm able to recognize my strengths and put them to use. I believe that passion and purpose fuels my life, my service to others, and the willingness to persevere through obstacles I may face. So once I returned back to Charleston for my spring semester, I continued tutoring as I love to do, and I reconnected with the Lonan Foundation, which is an organization catered to children whose parents or guardians suffer from cancer. I've also was able to become a mentor for students in the STEAM community, so minority students. And STEAM basically stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So if they want to pursue a major and career in that field, I'm able to guide them through that process. I was also able to volunteer with the Study Abroad office, who I'm very grateful for because they're the reason I was able to study abroad. So I wanted to show my gratitude to them and allow others to study abroad as well, because it is an amazing opportunity. Because of my passion and the love I have for basically the organizations I've been a part of, for the fall semester of 2022, I've been given the opportunity to become a liaison for an honors course, which basically allows students to participate with the Lonan Foundation and receive their honors immersed requirement. So I went through this process as a freshman student myself, and now I'm able to guide other students through those ropes. I will also be a peer educator for a career development program for minority students. So I'm very proud of this opportunity and can't wait to help others get to where I am in life and further. So as my summer continues, I've been in a biochemistry course with Harvard Medical School, and I will also take that exam next week. So I'm excited for that. I will also start an internship in a couple of weeks with the MedX Academy and start studying for my MCAT for medical school. So my next steps, as of tomorrow, I will also shadow a neurosurgeon tomorrow on Thursday, Dr. Hodge. So I'm very excited about that as well. And I know last year, if you may or may not remember, I said I wanted to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. That's the kind of route I was looking ahead to go forward with, but I've kind of shifted perspectives in looking more at pediatric oncology, which will still involve many neurological aspects. I just realized that's where my heart lies most at the moment. So last year, I was kind of stressed and anxious about my future, always planning out the next steps, trying to figure out where I would end up in life. But I realized that what's meant for me will always come to me. I don't have to stress about it. I will always find it at the right time. So now I know that no matter what happens in life, I know the journey will not be easy, but without a doubt, I will get to where I would like to be in life. Of course, with the love and support from all of you guys. So thank you so much.
Good luck on that exam next week. That's Ryan Thackeray here today to provide you with the member news. Do remember, we do have sponsorships available for member news. They are free. You just need to email me and let me know that you have a sponsorship for member news. You guys will not believe this. Today's member news is sponsored by Mother Nature. When she heard nobody else had elected to sponsor member news this month, she contacted me. We got a thing going on and asked to sponsor this meeting. She's excited to hear from the Nature Conservancy's Queen of Conservation, Miss Kristen Austin, and is grateful that Rotary has decided to add the environment as a new focus area across the globe. Mother Nature has turned off the AC and cranked up the heat this week to remind us how important it is to take care of each other and to take care of the great natural resources that the upstate has to offer. So a special thanks to Mother Nature. Your sponsorship invoice is in the mail. And now on to our member news for June. Incoming President Wade Kolb and Rotarian Greg English of Weiss Law Firm have both been named to the 2022 South Carolina Super Lawyer List. So if you need a super lawyer, reach out to one of those two guys. Denver Downs Farm in Anderson, the family farm of Rotarian Elizabeth Garrison Razor, recently announced the addition of a new dry slide at the family farm that will bring fun for all ages. It'll be arriving this summer and will be one of the largest dry slides in South Carolina, giving riders a chance to reach speeds up to 35 miles per hour. Make sure to add Denver Downs to your list of summer activities. And Bert Strange has offered to make $100 cart donations for everyone that can beat him in a dry slide race this summer. Thank you, Bert, for that agreement. Yes, thank you. You don't remember we talked about that last week. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's good. Bert will see you at the dry slide. Rotarian Scott Powell has been named president of his architecture firm, Craig, Galden, and Davis. Scott has been a leader in the firm for nearly 30 years. He has served on the board of directors for the South Carolina chapter of the American Institute of Architects and served as president of AIA Greenville and the Rotary Club of Greenville. Scott's excited to lead CGD into this next phase of the firm and is passionate about the positive impact of architectural excellence in our communities. As president of the firm, this gives Scott all the presidential perks in Greenville. I assume he now has front row parking spaces, presidential suite access here at the Westin, boxes at the Peace Center and the Greenville Drive. So if you're not already buddies with Scott, now is the time to make sure you're in good with President Scott Powell at Craig, Galden, Davis. And another past president was also recently recognized. Rotarian Jane Dyer was honored to be the hero of the game at Clemson's Softball Military Appreciation Day. She was recognized for having been the first female Air Force ROTC commander and the first female from Clemson to be selected to attend Air Force pilot training. While recognized for being hero of the game as a stellar Rotarian and veteran, Jane knows that she's a hero to this Rotary Club every day. I like that one too. I got you. And also, Jane's son, Bill, is super cool. He was awarded a Borden Fellowship for his last year of doctoral work at the University of Florida. He is headed back to Dakar, Senegal in August, where he'll be working with the University of Dakar on documenting the Wolof language. And that's your member news for June 2022. A special thanks to Mother Nature for her sponsorship. And as a reminder, if you have member news or interest in a sponsorship, please shoot me an email. Although we already have a sponsor for next month, just to give you a little taste here, a little tease, Sonny Honda of Sun Trade Financial. Are you panicking about the stock market? Do you need to review your financial portfolio? Sonny is your guy. And who wouldn't want a financial advisor that lives his life by the four-way test? Sounds good to me. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you all Rotarians for being here today, and have a great one. Take care.
By now, you're probably feeling really sorry for me right now. I'm the guy that follows Mr. Excitement at the podium. But don't feel too sorry for me, because I'm privileged here to introduce to you my good friend, Kristen Alston. Kristen has two guiding principles, at least two. She probably has more, but two important ones. One is to leave a place better than you found it. And the other one is to whom much is given, and much is expected. With this small glimpse into Kristen's character, it is no surprise that Kristen works for the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy is one of the oldest and one of the most respected and successful conservation organizations in the nation, indeed the world. Kristen is the TNC's Upstate Conservation Director, a position she has held for 18 years. Kristen started with the Nature Conservancy in 1998, where she was assigned to be the statewide volunteer coordinator in Missouri, where she focused on land management projects on Nature Conservancy preserves. She also launched a successful conservation program with farmers and ranchers for grassland conservation. As the Upstate Conservation Director for the Nature Conservancy, Kristen focuses on forest and freshwater initiatives across a 19-county area in South Carolina. A few examples of Kristen's work includes managing real estate transactions to conserve lands and waters. She also leads multi-state and agency partnerships for forest health. She holds a stakeholder seat for the Broad River Basin Council for the state water plan as well. But she also is the point person for the Nature Conservancy's conservation easement with Greenville watersheds, where I have gotten to know Kristen very well. And she is an excellent partner with Greenville Water and with TNC. Not only is she active professionally, but she has become a part of an active part of Greenville's civic life. She is served with the city of Greenville as a member of the Green Ribbon Committee. She graduated from the Urban Land Institute Sustainable Leadership Program in 2012. She participated and graduated in Leadership Greenville class of 35. And many of you may remember that Kristen was a member of our group study exchange to British Columbia in 2010. She's a former Rotarian where she served here as a member of our club for many years. Kristen is a graduate of the University of Tennessee with a double major in environmental sciences and religious studies. She lives in Greenville with her husband Eric and her dog Max. And if you don't find her out on the hiking trail during her free time, you'll find her probably watching University of Tennessee volunteer sports or out on the pickleball court. So please welcome Kristen.
Thank you so much, Philip. It means so much for you to introduce me. You've been such a mentor just through me being able to watch you conduct yourself in so many leadership ways throughout our community. So thank you so much for that introduction. And it is such an honor to be back here with the Downtown Rotary Club. I really miss being a member and enjoyed my time really enjoyed spending 3 weeks with Mark Taylor, for some of you who may know him, traveling 3 weeks around British Columbia in a blue rental van that I was talking about to our table a little bit earlier. But as I stand before you today, this is a real honor to be among you who, as I look out, you are the leaders of our Greenville community. And to be with you to share today the work of the Nature Conservancy, who we are and what we do around the globe. And in sharing this information with you today, I truly hope that you leave with a sense of inspiration about the wonders that we have here in South Carolina for our natural heritage. But I do want to note, I want to thank you all more than anything for letting Ryan Thackeray be a member of this Downtown Rotary Club. It's really been those couple of hours a month when he leaves the office that I get a lot of work done, and I can regroup and kind of, center myself until he gets back. So please don't ever kick him out of this club. I really need that time when he comes to Rotary. And Miss Bonaparte, I just want to thank you for your words today. Boy, I know I'm leaving here very inspired, knowing you are out in the world and the next generation. So it's hard to follow your presentation. So congratulations on everything you've got going. So I am here today, though, to talk about the Nature Conservancy. And I have a little quick video for you because, as Philip noted, the Nature Conservancy is a conservation organization that conserves the lands and waters in which all life depends. And we envision a world where people and nature thrive together. So we work in 70 countries in all 50 states in the US, and here locally, just right here in your backyard. And so we're a multi-layered organization that has spent 70 years really conserving the world's natural resources. So I'd like to just share some insights about our organization through a very precise video that does a much better job than I could in describing how we work and what we do.
Earth, a stunning panorama of life. This is what drew most of us to conservation in the first place. But as the world has become ever more connected and complex, we've come to realize that while conservation is still about saving these animals and these places, it's also about us and our ability to ensure our own survival.
The Nature Conservancy has an extraordinary legacy of protecting land and water at an enormous scale. But today, we realize that we can't protect nature just one place at a time. We have to work at multiple places around the globe to make a profound difference so that both people and nature thrive.
By 2050, global population is expected to grow to more than 9 billion people. The growing needs for food, water, and energy will tax our natural world as never before. At the same time, we face the threats of climate change, major biodiversity loss, and water scarcity. A new kind of conservation is needed.
We're using science to set our priorities, but really a whole new set of science that we haven't used before. We're having to look at economics, agronomy, and hydrology to help us see the whole scope of the challenges that we face and make sure we're doing the most effective, important things.
We believe that we can harness the awesome power of nature and renew our thriving planet.
We are focusing on the things that will have the greatest impact on our world. We're still committed to protecting land and water. We'll continue to protect critical ecosystems, especially ones that won't be protected unless we step up and do it. We're still in that business. We're also now in the business of addressing climate change, feeding the world sustainably, and bringing nature to cities. That's the TNC game plan for the big challenges ahead.
For this spectacular planet and all the life it holds, the clock is ticking. Only by working together can we give people hope. Keep our wildlife wild. Keep our home whole. And ensure the future of a world that sustains us all.
Fantastic. So as you can see, we do have a global reach. And with this mission to conserve lands and waters, I was thinking about it. I will be with the Nature Conservancy 25 years in January. And really in my early 20s made a commitment to, I was just in awe of our natural resources and really wanted to spend my career and really turn it into a vocation to conserve lands and waters in which all life really depends. And so in these 25 years or the 25-year anniversary coming up, I've been reflecting. And as I think about this mission, I think it could truly be just words on a piece of paper. However, it's not that. It is actually the 1 million members that we have nationwide, 10,000 of those members here in South Carolina. And it's really our volunteer base throughout the planet. Our board of trustees, who Bob Howard used to serve on our local board in South Carolina. It's our staff with boots on the ground, working day in and day out to make sure that our natural resources are conserved. And all this comes together truly, bringing the mission to conserve lands and waters into action for future generations in our community and in our on our planet. So this mission that is truly action, in South Carolina, we've been doing this work in action for 52 years. And we've worked with private landowners all the way from the mountains to the sea throughout the Palmetto State. And I'd really like to hone in and share with you today how we do work in South Carolina throughout this state. In the past 52 years, we've actually conserved over 400,000 acres of land all the way throughout South Carolina. And in that time, we now have 10,000 members that support our efforts. Within that 400,000 acres, though, we've conserved 160,000 of those acres are in conservation easements, where private landowners continue to hold on to their land, but conserve the conservation values through partnering with the Nature Conservancy as the holder of these easements. We've actually worked to restore forests and waters throughout South Carolina as well. So we've got an excellent track record. I always tell people too that you can really walk on our results because we have 7 public preserves around South Carolina and many preserves all around the country that you can actually see the lands that we have protected, that we own and manage. Here in the upstate, we have 2 of the 7 public preserves that are open 365 days throughout the year, from sunrise to sunset. We have the 9 Times Preserve in Pickens County that really harbor much of what we say we want to conserve throughout the whole southern Blue Ridge, truly on this one piece of land, as well as the Blue Wall Preserve in northern Greenville County. And Amy, just up the mountain from the Blue Wall is Hogback Mountain, which is mostly the Greenville watersheds, but WSPA has their transmission tower on top of Hogback Mountain. But right below Hogback Mountain is the Nature Conservancy's Blue Wall Preserve, where the Palmetto Trail, the statewide Mountains to the Sea Trail, runs through our preserve. It's truly become one of the more popular hiking destinations as people really crave to get outdoors. And we've seen visitation at both preserves increase quite a bit throughout the past few years, especially with the pandemic. So that's an overview of really who we are. And now I want to note that we can't really do conservation as usual. It cannot be business as usual, not in the world and especially not in South Carolina, because we're truly facing major changes right before us. And I always appreciate sharing this knowledge and this map of the Southern Meganopolis. This map was produced by the U.S. Geological Survey as well as North Carolina State. And they conducted a study about the population trends throughout the U.S., really looking at where people are trending in the way of moving. And this map actually shows that the trend is having people that are leaving many areas throughout the U.S. In places like Michigan, Wyoming, California, and moving towards the Southeast. So the Southeast is truly increasing our population quite a bit. So this shows basically where urbanization is projected to go by 2100, based on the trends that we're seeing today. And you'll see in this map, the really dark areas, the black areas are where urbanization is increasing, and then the red is actually where the urbanization is moving out. So our area here in the upstate along Highway 85 is what's known as Charlanta. We're right in between Atlanta and Charlotte, and the term is very common now to call us Charlanta. People want to be here to get to proximity to those two major cities while still having the wonderful quality of life that we enjoy here. So without that fast-paced, intense city life. So we are looking in South Carolina right now, we hit 5 million people in 2020. We're projected to hit 10 million people by 2070. And if you're like me and you do travel around the Palmetto State, it's, this is no false projection. It's happening right between our eyes. So as we think about South Carolina not actually creating more land, we're going to be at 22 million acres, with 5 million or 10 million people. So we're actually thinking about how we're going to manage this change of population and balance people and nature, making sure that we keep the quality of life that is bringing people here to enjoy our natural resources. There's another change among us, and that's change in weather patterns. Last week, I was just at a workshop with the state climatologist who was explaining the current weather trends that we're seeing and we've been seeing in the past 20 years. There's great fluctuation with extremities. We're seeing periods of really wet periods in South Carolina and very dry periods. And it's shifting back and forth. But both wet and dry are very extreme situations. We found ourselves in the mountains of South Carolina in that extreme period of dry in the fall of 2016, especially not only in the mountains of South Carolina, but as throughout the whole Southern Blue Ridge, where wildfires were popping up at an extreme rate that we never thought that we would actually see in this part of the country. We always thought that large major wildfires would happen in the Western United States and stay there. However, in 2016, just up the road at Table Rock, we actually had the largest wildfire on recorded history in the upstate of over 10,000 acres that burned. So we also are seeing flooding happening at an extraordinary rate here in the upstate and certainly all the way down to the coast. So as we think about this, we're seeing we are a part of nature and we're facing the impacts that nature is bringing us. So how do we find nature-based solutions to handle this and be able to live with fire and live with water? And that comes to the point of being resilient. Both people and nature are called at this time in our history to be resilient, which means to bounce back from change. So we're going to be having changes. People are moving to the Southeast and to South Carolina. Weather patterns are shifting. And so within that, how do we adapt and how do we change and be resilient and really live with these situations and find solutions to these issues? So we're looking at solutions. And that's one thing I love about the Nature Conservancy. We're an honest broker that's science-based, and we find solutions, not focused on problems. So what we did recently, back in 2018, is we pulled together a series of data, and it's the most updated, cutting-edge data that's available to science right now as we think about lands and waters. And we mapped actually the whole 48 states where there are the most resilient places within the US, showing where plant and animal species can actually move in the face of change and provide migratory corridors as plant and animals will move in the face of these changing weather patterns. Within that too, we took a lot of data from the Fish and Wildlife Service, who pulled together multiple partners to really figure out where are the conservation values and priorities amongst multiple organizations with a diverse array of information. We layered all that together and we laid it over South Carolina to see where are the most priority places to conserve for lands and waters in our state. And we came up with this vision map. This vision map is now being used on the statewide scale as we're thinking about how to fund conservation work through the South Carolina Conservation Bank. And what this map tells, and I try not to put maps up to groups because it can look real wonky with all these colors, but what this map is telling you is essentially about 15% of South Carolina is in conservation one way or another, with either conservation easements or with the Forest Service or other agencies or nonprofits, conserving natural resources in these green areas or the yellow areas. There's all these green places on this map, and that is telling us where those priority places are that can be the most resilient places for plant and animals migrating in the face of change. So the map says that we need another 15% of South Carolina in conservation ownership. About 30% of South Carolina to really balance natural resources for people and nature. 30% of the state is forecasted here for conservation ownership. This actually gives us a good roadmap, though, as we prioritize what lands are best in conservation and to also help figure out funding priorities. So I'm very pleased to say that last week, this map spoke to a lot of political leaders at the General Assembly, and our political leaders at the statewide level actually funded the one main funding source we've got in the state through the state budget. That's the South Carolina Conservation Bank. They funded that bank more than they ever have in any year, recognizing that this isn't just a bunch of greenies or tree huggers, saying, oh, we got to take care of our natural resources. They're like, yeah, it makes actually dollars and cents to take care of our natural resources across the state, and we're going to invest in it. So that was such a true win where you take good science and you make the case and you bring political leaders together to think solution oriented. So that's definitely going to be, that is one of our main focuses right now in this time of change, is really protecting special places like we've done at Stumphouse Mountain and expanding Jones Gap State Park. Now we're expanding our work beyond the mountains and well into the Piedmont, as that's a great area of growth for human populations. Along with that, though, once land is conserved, it's important it needs to be stewarded. Our forests throughout the Southeast actually saw fire every 3 to 7 years. And we know that fire was once a part of these forests and the evolution of how they evolved through time and became healthy and intact. So today, many of our Southeast forests have been without fire for over 100 years. And we recognize that wildfires are going to happen. It's not if, it's when. And so we want to bring fire back to our forest systems throughout South Carolina to lessen that fuel load. So if there is a wildfire, there won't be so much to burn up that'll actually be lessening the severity of wildfire. And plus, forests need it. They need it to be healthy. So active forest management is very essential to our forests throughout the state. And our forests are definitely a big economic driver and always have been in South Carolina. So being able to conserve them and steward them in a healthy way is so critical. And then that brings us to forests filtering fresh water and being able to enjoy the drinking water that, you know, we all depend on daily. So we're very fortunate, Philip, thank you very much for being one of the visionary leaders that saw the greater Greenville community growing and knew that we needed to have clean drinking water. And you took it an extra step and really have provided the greater Greenville area some of the best tasting drinking water in the entire country through protecting your Greenville watersheds, or our Greenville watersheds. So having clean drinking water is so critical. We're lucky here in Greenville that the Greenville Water had that kind of foresight to want to buy their own watersheds and had that foresight that knowing that we wanted to have clean water here. Downstream from us, many customers are faced with 50% more cost for their water because it takes so much more treatment to actually clean up the water downstream that is not being really protected through any sort of watershed protection. So clean water is so critical, and it's so critical for the people that are depending on it, especially moving here. I'm very pleased to say that the state of South Carolina is also on top of this, and there's a state water planning effort going underway right now where water basins are getting together to plan the future for the next 100 years on how much water is available throughout the state of South Carolina and will be available. So we can really make good decisions, both from just a human decision standpoint to a policy standpoint, making sure that we have enough water quantity and quality going forward for the future. So really, as we look at things for conservation, it is a day and age where all hands are on deck. And we really need conservation can't be an elitist private situation. We need a large tent and we need everybody involved because everyday lives really depend on our natural resources. Sometimes it's not always right in our face until we're in a water shortage or there's the largest wildfire happening up the road. So I really ask you to join me and Ryan and the Nature Conservancy to really join in this conservation effort in any way you can. Groups always ask me, what can I do? This seems so daunting. It seems so big. And, I just encourage you to let your political leaders know that you care about conservation and you want them to just make good, smart decisions. I also encourage you to just think about everyday decisions. Do you want plastic or paper at the grocery store? Do you want oil or a renewable resource? Or do you want to take your own bag? There's just small little decisions that we all make on a daily basis that truly add up. And the most important thing, though, is making sure that you get outside and that you enjoy the natural resources we have before us. We're so fortunate to live in such a diverse state, all the way from the mountains to the sea. And I just really feel like it's so critical. And I've seen it, that nature's transformative. It's wonderful. Now we actually have neuroscience with data saying when you go outside and you're in nature, your cortisol levels decrease. You become more, less stressed and, more at peace. And they can measure that. I just say it's tonic for the soul. And it's just, you just feel better when you sit by a babbling brook and you can walk back into your house with a little bit more fresh air in your lungs. So, take time out to enjoy the view and to get outside. It does the heart good. So before Ryan comes up, I just want to share a little wisdom and advice from a tree. And leave you with standing tall and proud, go out on a limb, remember your roots, drink plenty of water, and make sure it's Greenville water, by the way, and be content with your natural beauty and always enjoy the view. So really appreciate you sharing and hearing the words of the Nature Conservancy's work today. There's a lot of great conservation partners throughout the state and locally doing excellent work. And we all work in collaboration together because it truly takes all hands on deck. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and I promise I'll pull him off if he gets out of hand. So.
Thank you, Kristen, and sorry you guys have to hear from me one more time today, but I'm really excited. I've been working on a project with Rotary International and a fellow Rotarian of ours, Mark Makulinski. Some of y'all may remember Mark. His foundation supported the Peace Conference a couple of years ago, a Rotarian from North Greenville, actually lives up in Michigan now, but Mark is a diehard Rotarian and a diehard Nature Conservancy member and has challenged me to create a matching gift program with Rotary International. So I've been working closely with the strategic initiatives team at Rotary International to launch this partnership. We are going around in South Carolina and in Ohio and Michigan. These are all states where Mr. Makulinski and his family have property, and going out to Rotary clubs and giving these presentations and getting folks to be more aware of what's going on in the conservation world and more ways that Rotary clubs, especially add the environment as a new focus area, can get plugged in. Mark has committed $300,000 to match Rotary Club gifts to invest in a Nature Conservancy project. So it's a one-to-one match. So if it's decided at some point our club between now and 2023, or if other Rotarians and other clubs, again, I'll be at the downtown or the evening Rotary Club this evening, as a matter of fact, double Rotary Day. He has agreed to match gifts one-to-one, also to match not just club gifts, but individual Rotarian gifts. And this is what I love about Mark. Mark said, I don't have time to vet every single project. I know TNC does well. He said, but if a Rotarian believes in a TNC project, or if a Rotary Club believes in a TNC project, he said, I know it's got to be worth my investment. So if our club at some point, or if another club, or if you as an individual are interested in taking advantage of this opportunity, our goal really is potentially to take this partnership nationwide, if not globally. Here we have the world's largest and leading conservation organization, the world's largest and leading civic organization. My job is to try to marry these two groups together, solve climate change, get interviewed on 60 Minutes at some point. So that's my game plan. So just a quick plug there for anyone that is interested. Truly my honor to work with Kristen and to do this work. Many of y'all know I've raised money for the buffet of causes, as one of our Rotarians says, here in town, and have raised some money for some really, really neat causes. This one's near and dear to me, with two young kids at home, making sure they have the same natural resources that we've all enjoyed so much. So We do have some more information on the check-in table, some brochures and Kristen's cards. And you know, I'd love to talk to you about the Nature Conservancy if you're interested. So thank you all.
Okay, so Kristen, before you run back to your seat, our club, again, close partnership with Alexander Elementary. So each time we have a guest speaker, we donate a book to their library. Ask the guest speaker to sign inside. So this one's called My Father's Dragon. So thank you for being.
Thank you so much.
Let's see. So what I got out of that was Queen of Conservation. That was, I think, we named you. But I would say first, like, welcome back to the Rotary Club, right? And not realize you were a prior member. And then 25 years of dedication, right, to conservation for nature and people. Made me think about Jamise and your passion and discovering, right, as you're journeying, you keep kind of little segues, figuring out, right, what your passion, true passion is. And I like the word resilience, right? Whether it be nature, people, what we're doing, the fact that we're here to make a change and to face obstacles and maybe more importantly, find solutions, which is very key. So I thank you for being guest speaker. Jamise, thank you for sharing your journey with us and can't wait to hear the next stage of what you're going to do. I think you're just going to keep wowing all of us. For the guests that came today, thank you. We have Discover Rotary meetings, which are monthly in person and also online. So if you need more information, you can reach out to our club administrator or check out our website, but would love to have you come join our family of Rotarians. I appreciate the people that are with us on Zoom, although you blanked us out, but no worries, it's okay, we're wrapping up. So with that, I wanted to point out, we have on the table a survey that was on the seats. This is a survey of interest, not necessarily commitment. But with this, put your name, contact information at the top. Then we're going to share this with the different chairpersons and ask them to reach out to you, right? To talk about what those particular committees are working on, to see if there's a place for you, right? Some way to help all of us stay more engaged. And again, continuing to make a difference. The survey is also, if it hasn't, going out electronically. So again, just trying to keep those touch points active. With that, if we can stand and do our four-way test, might not have it on the screen, but we have the banner right here. Also on the agendas on the table at the bottom is the four-way test too, if you're not familiar, so that you can join us. So for all the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial
to all concerned.
So with that, I will say June 28th will be my last meeting as president with our club. That meeting is intended to be a celebration of our club and of each of you. So I hope you'll be able to join us for that meeting. With that, we are done.